Welcome back to the Future Self podcast. Welcome to season 2, episode 1. Season 2, episode 1. Why the fuck would you do seasons? The reason I'm running different seasons is there's going to be a different approach per season. There's going to be a different level up. There's going to be a different way that I articulate my words, my approach, but most importantly, the episodes. I'm sure by having watched episode 8, 9, and 10, that you've seen that the episodes are getting a little bit shorter. They're reducing. I've gone from episodes of an hour in length to now we're focusing on 20 to 30 minute. I want to do shorter episodes because I want to attract a wide audience. I don't want to attract just podcast listeners, just people wanting to invest 45 to 60 minutes. I want to reach out and branch out. I know personally from myself, I am someone who listens to short bursts at a time, anywhere from 10, 20 to 30 minutes. So I want to keep these around that 20 to 30 minute mark. I want to attract more people. I want less people to be nervous that it's a huge investment to listen to a podcast, that it's a big deal to put on an episode. You know, I want people to be able to do it in one go or break it up into little splits. Of course, having clicked on episode 1 of season 2, you know that we are talking about different. That is the topic of this episode. That is the direction I'm wanting to take it. Different is a dynamic or an approach, a choice, a thought, a feeling. Different is comparative to what you've done before. Different is making a choice that you might not normally make, thinking a thought you might not normally think, feeling something you might not normally. Doing different is choosing something you haven't before or wouldn't normally. Different is a really big topic when it comes to progressive journeys, because ultimately you are learning something completely different. You are doing different. You need to prioritize different. You need to value different. You need to choose different. Different is literally everything and anything you do, because you're leveling up and progressing. You are doing things in a way that you haven't before. Just because you choose to do different doesn't mean it's going to be progressive or beneficial for the future you. I know a lot of people who have chosen to do different for the negative, for the regression, for the downfall of themselves. Just because you choose to do different or just because you choose to do differently doesn't mean that things are going to be good. Different just means different to what you have been doing before. The main focus of today's conversation, podcast, why you're tuning in, is because I want to talk about the discomfort, the anxiety, and the stress that comes from choosing different. Because ultimately, different stems from outside of your comfort zone. It's very rare that doing different is going to be easily within your comfort zone, because it's fucking different. It's what you haven't done before. It's something that you don't normally do. It's not an easy thing to choose to do different. It's fucking hard. We have learnt these certain patterns, systems, ways, approaches that work for us. Just because they work for us doesn't necessarily mean they serve us to be progressive or beneficial, but we've learnt that they work for us in our current lifestyle with what we currently want to do. Work for us. Similarity, things you've done before, that is your comfort zone. That is what you sit in. That is your comfort blanket. It's the known, it's the comfortable, it's what you're aware of. You know what it does, you know how you feel and how you react to it. That's why people get comfortable. It's so fucking common. You see someone doing something regressive consciously, but because it's comfortable and known, they stay doing it. Why do you think people on weight loss journeys who drink alcohol continue to have beers every single week? Why do you think people in strength training can overtrain? Because it's comfortable. Why do you think people do what they normally do? Because it's comfortable. Regression always happens. It's the same with financials. People know they need to save money, but they know the way they're living is losing money or not gaining, and they still do the same thing. Being comfortable can be so detrimental to being progressive. It's not bad to be comfortable. There's a lot of things I do that are comfortable now. There are also a lot of things I do that are comfortable now that were fucking uncomfortable at the start. So when I started, it was fucking so uncomfortable. It felt weird. It was anxiety inducing. It was stressful, but now it is comfortable. For instance, this podcast, I remember the butterflies I first got the first time I sat down to do episode 1. I was so nervous. I'm good at talking. I'm great at talking to people and I'm confident in what I say, but I was nervous. Now I sit down and it feels so chill. It's comfortable. I love it. I love thinking about what I'm going to talk about. I can't wait to get into the episode, start the camera, talk into the mic, set it up on my computer to record. However, it wasn't comfortable initially, and I had to step into that discomfort to do different, to allow it to become comfortable. Now, going back to what I was saying before, a lot of people tend to continue doing regressive-based actions because it's known. They know how it works out. They know what comes from it. They know how things are going to be. You guys are going to hate me for this because it might feel like a topic I talk about all the time, but people who are depressed and anxious that know drinking enhances that, they still go out. Why? Because it's comfortable. It's comfortable. Weirdly enough, for some individuals I know, it's more comfortable for them to go out, get drunk, wake up anxious as fuck the next day than it is for them to stay at home, sit with that little FOMO they feel, and wake up and do something different the next day. Why? Because it's fucking different. People get caught up in doing the same thing. They get caught up in needing to know and needing it to be comfortable that they then don't change. One of the biggest things I see that happens when it comes to a progressive journey, the people that I work one-to-one with in GL coaching, is they do different and they get comfortable with being uncomfortable because they know that that's going to bring a more comfortable future. If you're really socially anxious, it's a really hard thing to talk to people. That's uncomfortable, right? But it's also just as uncomfortable to continuously feel the same feeling for the rest of your life. So if you invest that few moments or situations or experiences into doing different, stepping into different, that could change the whole projection of how you experience your future. Though, a lot of people don't do it because it's comfortable. It is known. People get scared to do different because it is literally fucking different. It's unknown. It's daunting. We don't know what's going to happen, how it's going to feel, how it's going to react. Some of the most progressive individuals I know aren't necessarily the hardest workers, but they get comfortable with being uncomfortable, so they get comfortable with doing it differently or doing different things. If something is not working, it is wild to feel or think that doing the same thing is going to change the outcome. I read a quote one time, or it was a conversation I had of just a phrase, a commonly used phrase, and it is fucking delusional to do the same thing and expect a different outcome, which I couldn't agree with anymore. It is true. You cannot do the same thing and expect things to be different. If I learned that hour-long podcasts wasn't getting engagement or wasn't having people tune in, it's almost delusional to just stay doing that. If I learned that training 3 times a week wasn't progressing me as much as I wanted, there are other things I could change, but it's almost delusional to keep doing the same thing and expect a different outcome. Now, delusion's a bit of an abrupt term. It's a bit of a harsh thing because no one wants to fucking feel delusional or be told that they are delusional. But the dynamic behind it is that it's almost just insane, crazy, surprising that you think you can do the same thing and expect a different outcome. It's the same with people who have done multiple weight loss challenges. The first one, killed it, huge change, regressed back, did another one, huge change, killed it, regressed back. A fucking third one's not going to change your life. If the way you're spending money has you not saving, you cannot just cross your fingers and hope that this is going to be the week that you save money. If your fitness isn't improving, if your body composition isn't improving, if your mental health isn't improving, and you're doing the exact same thing, how the fuck can you expect it to be a different outcome? Like, it's just not going to happen. It's not possible to do the exact same and expect a different outcome. Now, one thing I want to be careful of is doing the same, exact same, is different from doing the same thing but progressing it. You can't jump on a bench press for your first time ever, do a set, it not work out and go, oh, well, fuck, it didn't work. I need to stop doing it. That's not what I'm saying. There's progress in practicing. There's progress in consistency. There's progress in continuing doing something until you get better and better and better. Being better at the same thing is not the same as doing the exact same. Fucking hell, it felt like I said the word the same so many times. It's true. You can do something pretty much the same over and over and over, but a little bit better each time. Then it doesn't actually have you mirroring what you're doing because you're progressing it. You're doing it better. You're being consistent with your progress. One thing about doing the same is it doesn't give you an outlet or a leeway to just not do it because guy said doing the same stops your progression. That's not what I'm talking about either. You can't try dieting for a week, struggle with it, give it up because it was hard and it wasn't working. There is a huge difference between giving up because it's not working and changing what you're doing to make it be more progressive. There's a huge, huge difference with that. So what I'm talking about, linking back to the challenge before, because it's a pretty straightforward example, if someone's done multiple weight loss or body recomposition challenges, but they keep having to do them over and over and over, that's the same. You're doing the same thing. Something needs to fucking change if you want to see change. If you don't have a good relationship with food and all you do is immerse yourself in diet culture, track numbers intensely, use these fad diets, and it's not working, that's what I'm talking about. You're doing the same and it's not fucking working. You need to change it. Step back to be able to look back in, take a different perspective. Doing these diets isn't working for you because maybe you need to heal your relationship with food. That's doing different. It still results in a similar end goal or a progressive outcome, but you're choosing to do different. You're not tackling it from the same angle. If something doesn't work once, yeah, go for it. Try it again. If it doesn't work twice, go for it. Try it again. But if you know that something's not being successful for you, yet you continue to do the same thing over and over and over, that's where that change won't come about. It won't happen. So doing differently, change. You need to change what you are doing, change your mindset, change your approach, your thought pattern, do it differently, take a different approach. It's about trying it from a different angle. If you work with a PT and you've worked with multiple PTs and it's just not sticking, you're not enjoying the gym, you don't understand why you're trying to do different, you are trying to do different, but it's in the same pond. You're still trying to do the same thing. Maybe it's the approach of training you need to change. Maybe it's your attitude towards your own self you need to change. Someone who doesn't believe in themselves and doesn't show up for their future version, it doesn't matter what coach you're with, you're not going to stick to a plan. You're not going to stick to things long term. Maybe telling every coach you work with that you want to do 5 days a week and you know inside it's too much isn't the thing you do again. Maybe you change it to 3 days or 4 days. Do it differently. The dynamic of change, of doing things differently, is fucking daunting. It is scary. I want to share something a little bit more personal, which this episode's coming out later than what it's being recorded. It'll be out maybe a few weeks after when I'm sitting down this Friday. But I'm wanting to make a big change and step more into the online world. I'm wanting to do more online coaching, more online programming, more programs, work on the subscription training plan that I run, my shirts, more social media, this podcast. That is fucking scary for me because for the last 4 years, I've focused heavily on face-to-face. I maxed out face-to-face. I got myself into a position earlier this year where I couldn't possibly have done any more sessions. I fucking loved it. I loved it at the time. I was working with so many people. They were killing it. I was killing it. Things were working amazing, but things change over time. And I learned that I can't work 80 to 90 hours every week with a majority of that being face-to-face and have a different outcome. Like I've said in previous episodes when I've shared a little bit about myself, I want big things. I want big things for myself, for my friends, for my family, but also for the people I work with one-to-one. I can't get any further into that goal or that dream if I'm doing so many hours on the floor. I can't come home at 6 p.m. at the end of the day, tired as fuck, look at the online program I want to write, push it back to later in the week, go to bed, wake up and do the same thing. One of the hardest things about change is sometimes you need to step back 2 steps to step forwards 3, which there's a risk feeling in that. That's not the same as 1 back for 2 forwards. There's huge gain in that. To step back 2 steps to project yourself for 3, that's a big deal and you're putting risk on that. I'm stepping more into the online world, which means in time I will slowly reduce my face-to-face hours. I run 3 different services: online, full coaching, and PT. I love online coaching, I love full coaching, and I love PT. I love them all. But to be able to help more people on a wider scale, there needs to be less floor time done. And that's why PT will be a service I'll slowly stop offering. I'll never drop it. I always work with the people that I work with or work out alternatives. But I've slowly stopped offering the face-to-face. And that's daunting for me because like I said, since I started GL coaching, I've worked on a lot of face-to-face hours. It's fucking scary to do different. This podcast, like I said initially, that was scary. The online reels, the social media work I'm doing, the first video I posted, that was scary. Doing different is fucking scary because you don't know, or you know how it's going to be and you know how good it could be, but you're comfortable. It's a topic of conversation I have with a lot of people. There's a person I work with at the moment in GL coaching. I'm not going to disclose anything more than that. And they're wanting to make a big change, but they're fucking scared because they've done the same thing for the last 2 years, which is working well for them. They're in a good position, comfortable, things are working well. There's a bit of balance there, but they want more for themselves. And they know that they need to make a big change, but that change is huge. We've talked about it and it's big. But like I've said before, the regret of knowing, in my eyes, is always fucking better than the regret of wondering or thinking, what if? The regret of knowing, okay, that maybe wasn't what I wanted. That didn't work out. That wasn't it. Personally, I feel is so much better than later down the line wondering, fuck, what if? What could have that been? I wonder what would have happened. It makes me feel sick actually even talking about it. Like that feeling I get in my stomach of the regret of not doing is fucking scary. And especially the regret of not doing because of other people's opinions, other people's thoughts or impact on you, or being comfortable. being comfortable at a point in time in your life will have you being uncomfortable, no fucking doubt. And it's going to be a pretty uncomfortable situation 10 years down the line when you're looking at yourself in the mirror doing the same thing you've been doing, going, fuck, I wonder what that could have been. That's going to be uncomfortable to come to terms with, maybe even more uncomfortable than having just taken that step. So linking back to what I was saying with the change, I'm someone very routine. I look after myself, my friends, my family, the people I work with one-to-one in coaching. I look after and have all that covered. I have a life I'm happy with, financials I'm happy with, things that I want. I have less time than I might want later down the line, but there's more things I want to do. You know, I'm writing a book at the moment, which by the time this episode is out, it's probably on my website now, which I'll link down in the bios. That book is the Insider Guideline to Working on Your Future Self, which is so fucking exciting. But that's taken me so much to get done whilst working such a huge week. I want to write more books. I want to film more episodes. I want to interview more people. I want to do more with my clothing. I want to create more content. I want to reach more people. I have all these wants, these dreams, which I can do currently, but I don't know how well it would work out. So something needs to change. And that for me, to relate to you guys, is really fucking scary. Like change is scary. Things are working. Why would you change it? Things are comfortable. They're cruisy. Why would you do different to that? We do different, you and I, you listening, yes, and me, myself. We do different because we fucking want more for ourselves. We want more. There was a point in time, me and one of my best mates or my roommate were living in this absolute shitter of an apartment block, but that's what we could afford at the time. I didn't want to work any more hours. I thought I was killing it, living this life out of home. I was young, whatever, but I wanted more. We both wanted more. So something needed to change. So we both started working more. We've leveled up consistently every single new place that we move into, and we're moving into a next place, hopefully, which is a level up from that, because we chose different. And different's scary. Taking on more work is scary. Grinding harder, it's scary because it's not known. I used to work 20 hours a week. Now I work 80, sometimes 90. Like that change is fucking huge. It was scary at the time, but now it's comfortable and it's created a more comfortable future for myself. I know when you're listening to this episode, you know what I'm talking about. I know when I talk about change and doing different, you have something in your head that you either want to do different or know you should do different. Or if you didn't have something in your head, I fucking hope you do now. I hope there's an elevated awareness or progression of your consciousness as to what you want to have change in your life. And now you know that you need to do different. You cannot do the same and expect a different outcome. It just doesn't fucking work. Or you're so welcome to do it, but that different outcome isn't connected to that. You can do the same, feel the same, experience the same, go for it. That's how shit works. But if you want different, you need to do different. There's so many more examples I could give. I just want to have a longer conversation with you because it's such a topic of passion. Pretty much everything I talk about in this podcast is a topic of passion. That's why I do it. That's why I have these specific episodes. There's just so much more I feel like I could say when it comes to change because there's just no loss. Like, what's the hurt in trying? We potentially have X amount of years on this earth and that's all we get, and you're scared of doing something because it's change or new, fucking go for it. I had a conversation with someone this morning telling them about the changes I want to make, and they literally looked at me and said, buddy, just go for it. And I instantly felt sick. I was like, oh, fuck, it's not that simple. But it is that simple. We make it more complex in our head. We overstress it. We make it bigger than fucking Ben-Hur when it doesn't need to be. It could be that simple. It could be as simple as doing different and making that change. Episode 1 of season 2, change, doing different. I wanted to start out with this because season 2's different. It's a change from what I've been doing. I'm changing my future. There are new things coming. There are new things I'm doing with the book, the shirts, the online coaching I'm diving into, my subscription. I'm diving into it more and more, which is something I haven't done in the past, and that's change. It's fucking scary. But there's no better time to talk about this with you than when things are changing and then when things aren't changing and we want them to change. I appreciate you tuning in. If you watch on YouTube, that means so fucking much. I know sometimes it's convenient to just chill on Spotify, and whoever listens on Spotify, I fucking love you a lot as well. YouTube's always great because views work better than downloads. But regardless, you're fucking here. You're listening. We're having a convo. You're listening to my Future Self podcast, and I love you for that. If there's something you know you want to change, make a comment. Put a comment down. YouTube, if you're on YouTube. I don't know if you can do comments on Spotify, but leave a comment. Tell me what you want to change. Hold yourself accountable. It could be massive. It could be small. It could be intense. It could be just not that big of a deal. But leave something. Tell me what you want to change. If you are listening on YouTube, if you want to leave a like, I don't know if I'll ever get comfortable with saying that, but I appreciate you for doing that because that matters a lot. If you're new, subscribe. If you're on Spotify, chuck a follow. Now all that self-promo plug-in shit's done. I just want to say thank you for tuning in. I'm so excited for season 2. I know you guys value what I say, and I value you guys listening just as much. I'm going to leave it at that because it's about changing how I do things, and I'm doing small episodes. So thank you for tuning in. Anyone who's been sticking around from episode 1, I appreciate you so much. And if you're new, I appreciate you too. It's all about doing it for your future self. And the thing I want you to think about over the next fortnight is change. Doing different from what you have been doing. Because if you want a different outcome, that's how it works. Otherwise, continue doing the same, get the same return back, and be stuck in that. That's ultimately your fucking choice. But thank you for tuning in.